Back in grade 5, I had the huge crush on this girl called Lindsay. And I tried to keep this a secret because I didn't want anyone to find out that I liked her. I thought this, if anyone found out, then I don't know what would happen, but I was just really scared about it. And then one day at recess, I was sitting with a group of guys from class. We were sitting outside in a circle, and a couple of guys got an idea to go around the circle, and every guy has to say which girl they like most. And as they started doing this, I could feel my heart start to beat faster. I didn't know if I should tell the truth. Should I lie? But if I just lied and said some other girl's name, how would that be any different? So when it came to my turn, I said Lindsay. And I said it in a really tense voice. And then a couple of guys made a couple of remarks, and it just kept going. And I was really relieved because I thought something bad would happen. But nothing bad happened, and, the day just went on. So I was hugely relieved, like a weight had been lifted off my chest. This is not the end of the story. 2 days later, inside class, there was a group of people talking. It was John, one of the guys from that circle. There was Lindsay, the girl who I liked. There was, I think, 2 or 3 other people. And I was also, standing in this group. And at a certain moment, the conversation kind of dipped for a second. Natural break in the conversation. And in that short break, John said, Sean likes Lindsay. Totally out of nowhere, he told everyone that I liked this girl. At first, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Had he actually just told everyone that, including the girl I liked? After a few seconds, it started to register in my brain, and, people started to look at me in the group. One of the girls asked me if it was true, and I didn't know if I should admit it, if I should deny it, so I didn't say anything. I just stood there very awkwardly, not saying anything, and because I was so awkward, they knew that it was true. The girl who I liked, Lindsay, she was also looked pretty awkward, and probably after a minute or two, I couldn't take it anymore, so I think I ran to the bathroom. And then for weeks after, I totally avoided this girl, Lindsay. I made sure I wasn't in the same room as her. I never talked to her. I avoided making eye contact with her, and eventually it blew over. But at that moment when he said that, it felt like my world had cracked in half or something. It felt like my whole reputation had been destroyed. So because this video is about how to stop caring what people think of you, I thought I would just give you an example of what happens when you care a lot about what people think of you. Scientists believe that we are hardwired to need other people's approval and acceptance. It's a part of being human, because humans evolved in tribes of people. So if you were a part of a tribe, you had to be accepted by that tribe. If that tribe rejected you and they kicked you out, then you would probably die. So our brains are hardwired to try to calculate what's going to get us approval and then try to fit into it. And I don't think it's possible to totally not care about what people think of you. Maybe a sociopath could do it, but for a normal, psychologically healthy person, you're always gonna be somewhat concerned about other people's opinion. So the point of this video is basically not to make you totally stop caring what people think, but to shift you a little bit so that you're not so dependent. You're not such a victim of other people's opinion of you. If someone doesn't like you, then you suddenly feel really bad about yourself. If someone likes you, thinks you're a good person, then you feel good about yourself. But you don't have your own strong sense of self independent of other people. So that's what this video is kind of going to be about. How to develop a center where your self-concept, your opinion of yourself, the way that you feel about yourself isn't totally dependent on what other people think of you. I hope that by the end of this video, you will realize that you are not your reputation. You are not what you imagine other people's view of you is. Okay? And my first tip is to become more selfish. If you know my story, you know that I had really bad social anxiety, and that kind of led to feeling very depressed. I was isolated because of my social anxiety, having no friends. So I kind of hit rock bottom around the end of my first year of university. It was funny, I kind of had to hit rock bottom before I could start to improve. Because when I was completely isolated, depressed, I really, really cared what people think of me. Like, I still really wanted people to like me. But then at a certain point, I thought, well, after a year, I haven't really connected with anyone. What have I got to lose here? So I sort of switched my focus to my own enjoyment, to doing things that I liked and enjoyed, even if nobody joined me. So, for example, I started focusing more on my own hobbies, on listening to music that I liked, on looking at what had made me feel good in the past and doing more of that. Ironically, because I was making myself more self-sufficient, I actually start to feel less anxious about other people. I start to become less emotionally invested in what other people thought of me. So I'd recommend you do the same. Living a life that you enjoy and doing things that you would enjoy even if nobody else joined you. This basically takes your whole focus off of your reputation, which is a construct in your mind, to your immediate experience. So this is the doorway out of caring what people think of you. Your reputation, what you imagine other people's views of you to be, is something that exists in your mind. One of the things I often recommend to people who have shyness or social anxiety is mindfulness meditation. And meditation is just a series of techniques that train your attention to be grounded in your immediate experience. So for example, one mindfulness meditation technique is paying attention to your breath. Or you could pay attention to the feelings in your body or at the soles of your feet. Or you could pay attention to the sounds going on in your environment. And when you practice focusing your attention on your immediate direct experience, your sensations, it takes you out of this mental world, this construction you have in your head of what you imagine others people's opinion of you is. So that's a couple ways that you can ground yourself in your experience. The first way is simply to do what you enjoy, start to build a life where you can be happy independent of how other people act, whether they accept you or not. And the second way is to specifically do practices like meditation that ground you in this present moment. So for example, right now I'm talking to a camera. You're watching me on a screen, maybe on your computer, maybe on your phone. This is what your life is. And your life is only ever made up of a series of immediate experiences. Which brings me to my next point, which is you can never really know or control what other people think, say, or do. First of all, you can't really know it because you can only guess. And usually your guesses are just a reflection of yourself. Let me explain. Let's say someone is insecure about being overweight. They walk in a crowded hallway and they hear in a conversation somewhere, someone says the word fat. Because they're already insecure about being overweight, their brain is going to focus in on that and they're going to think those people are talking about them. However, if someone isn't overweight and they walk down the hallway and people are having a conversation, they say the word fat, this person isn't even going to notice it. Nobody can offend you about something that you weren't already feeling sensitive about. Going back to this example of Let's say there's a fat person who feels insecure. If someone calls that person fat, that person will probably be crushed because they're already feeling sensitive about their weight. However, I've seen, skinny girls, they eat a couple burgers and then their friend calls them fat, and because the girl knows that she isn't fat, she doesn't get at all offended by it, right? So keep this in mind. What you imagine other people's opinions of you to be is usually more a reflection of yourself, and it's often the way that you see yourself. Usually, people who care about what other people think about them, they struggle with low self esteem, a negative self image, insecurities. Think about it. People only care about what other people think of them because they think it'll be negative. If you thought that other people would only think positive things about you, you wouldn't care, would you? So, to stop caring what people think of you, you have to take a look at how you see yourself. Start to become a person that you respect. Choose some of your own values and work towards them. Treat yourself like you value yourself. And I'll talk more about this in future videos. And pay attention to whenever you feel offended, whenever you feel on edge, because usually it's revealing some kind of inner bruise or raw spot inside of you. Next, and I'm going to switch gears now a little bit. If someone does criticize you or say something bad about you, it's usually more about them than it is about you. Think about all the people who gossip about celebrities. They say, this person cheated, this person embarrassed themselves, this person failed in their newest movie. Why do so many people like to read about gossip about celebrities? Because when you have someone who's a talented actor, who's rich and wealthy, a person who is maybe below average, they look at that person and they feel inferior, and it makes them feel good to talk shit about the celebrity, which is why tabloids are so popular. And now even the normal news has huge sections that just talk about celebrities. So whenever someone does criticize you or talk bad about you, instead of immediately trying to attack them in your head, try to understand where they're coming from. This is very counterintuitive. If you can try to have empathy with that person, extend some love to that person, and try to, understand what position they're coming from, that they're just trying to maybe make themselves feel better or get their own needs met, it's going to allow you to see that their criticism isn't about you, usually. For example, my parents were very critical when I decided to drop out of university. And now looking back, I realized that it was a little bit to do with them being concerned about my future, but it was more to do with them thinking that they would feel better about themselves if they could tell other people that their son had a degree. So try to understand where other people are coming from, because it'll usually reveal that it's less about you. And the last point, this is something I read from an article by Mark Manson, and I thought it was a really good point. You have limited fucks to give, so you have to be careful how you spend them. If you go to a grocery store and you see there's some old lady complaining that the cashier won't take her coupon, why does that old lady care so much about that? Because she probably has nothing else more important going on in her life. That coupon is the most exciting thing in her day. So when you care too much about what people think, sometimes it's a symptom that you don't have a bigger purpose or more exciting passions or hobbies going on in your life. Make sure you keep that in mind, that you have limited fucks that you can give out, and if you waste all your fucks on the people that don't deserve them, like random strangers, you're not going to have any left for your friends, your family. the things that really matter, like your close passions and hobbies. So that's just a few quick, ideas for how you can stop caring about what people think. Realize that it's built into us. It's a part of our survival instincts that we do need to pay attention to what other people think of us. So you're never going to overcome it completely. So the idea is simply to build a more strong sense of self so you're not as dependent on other people. You're more resilient. If someone thinks something good about you or someone thinks something bad about you, it doesn't really affect you as much. And meditation is something that is very good for this. It'll get you focus out of your mind, which is constructing your reputation, into reality. You can never really know what other people think of you, and often, this reputation, what you think other people think of you, it's just a reflection of what you think of yourself. You're projecting your own low self-esteem, negative self-image, insecurities onto the world. By working on caring less about what other people think of you, you're going to find your life will improve in so many ways. Because when you're trying to organize your life and your actions, what you say and do, into what you think other people will approve of, you become bland, you become boring, you're not unique, you're not expressing your true authentic self. And when you can learn to ignore some standards for society, it's going to allow you to grab people's attention more. You're going to attract the people who you truly can have chemistry with into your life when you don't try to fit in or conform. You'll also probably be a lot more happy when you can get your focus off of your reputation. In fact, a University of Michigan study found that people who spent more time on Facebook were usually more depressed because they are concerned so much about their reputation and building a certain reputation. If you can get out of that, you're going to be much more happy, you're going to find life is much more enjoyable, and you're going to feel like life is more fulfilling because you can express yourself more freely. Alright, so I hope you got a couple of good tips from this video. My name is Sean Cooper. I'm the shyness and social anxiety guy. You can sign up for my newsletter, read more free articles at shyness socialanxiety.com, and I'll talk to you again soon.